Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport, and I am currently working on my roundup of the previous weekend's motorsport, but there was a hell of a lot of it, so it's taking me a little bit longer than I would like, but that video should be out either in the early hours of the morning or tomorrow evening, depending on what time I actually finish it. I haven't actually got that much more to watch, but it's taking a while. I wanted to talk about something else anyway. The World Rally Championship has had an issue for a while. In fact, it's really been a long time since there was another manufacturer other than Ford, Hyundai or Toyota in the World Rally Championship. You're going back to Citroën, which they left in 2018. It's been a while. Whatever. There has been rumours for a fair amount of time about a new manufacturer coming in. Supposedly Petter Solberg was working with one. It's sort of failed to materialise, but there has been rumours of a few teams that might enter. Firstly, Skoda, which honestly I think it makes the most sense because Skoda have honestly had continuous involvement in the World Rally Championship in some form since the very early 90s. And honestly probably longer than that, going back to like the smaller classes. But finding old records about rallying, especially below the World Rally Championship, is very, very difficult. It's not very well documented. But it's there if you can find it. And Skoda have been around for a very long time. They were pretty dominant in the lower classes back in the early 90s. And they have been recently as well. So they do have a history in the sport. And of course, they did have a top level car running through from the early to mid 2000s. Never really performed as it should with Skoda Octavia and later the Fabia. They got some decent drivers, they got the odd good result here and there, but mostly they were back markers. Funnily enough, running mostly against Hyundai at the back of the field. So it'll be interesting to see Skoda and Hyundai fighting at the top of the WRC. I don't know if it's ever likely to happen, but out of the three, I think it is the most likely. Another one that has been mentioned is Alpine, which again, in terms of rallying legacy, big one. They were the first Constructors' Champions all the way back in 1973. So the beautiful A1110 has obviously been, I don't know, not modernised, but almost reimagined, and they have had a car out for a while. And Alpine, well, it's owned by Renault, but they seemingly want to push the Alpine brand, obviously converting the Formula 1 team to Alpine. It's Alpine that runs in the World Endurance Championship and I think ELMS as well. It'd be interesting to see Alpine back in rallying, obviously, and they have had runs in this car at like test events, I guess you'd call them. So it does look likely that Alpine will be back in the World Rally Championship, depending on regulations and whatnot of that accord. Final one was Stellantis, who own a variety of brands. A lot of them have rallying heritage. You have Fiat and Abarth. They obviously have their heritage going way back, but you don't really see many Fiats in motorsport anymore. It'd be nice to see the Fiat name, a small sports car or something. I'm guessing it'd probably be a 500, but it'd be nice to see like a two-seater sports car with the Abarth badge on it. It's probably one of the most interesting ones they could have. The other ones are things like Opel/Vauxhall, pretty much the same brand, but again, both have a rich rallying history. Opel, the fantastic Manta of the 1980s, great car, love it. Vauxhall, obviously it's the British brand, which was separate to Opel until, I don't know when, sometime in the 70s or 80s. They made the same cars, basically, with a few differences. Yeah, Vauxhall Astra had a good run in the late 80s, early 90s in like British rallying. I think they did appear on the world rally scene as well. And going further back beyond that, Vauxhall have a very rich history as well. But obviously, Stellantis also own Citroën, who in more recent years, or like the last 20 or so, have had massive amounts of success with the likes of Sebastian Loeb at the wheel, Sebastian Ogier as well. They became one of the biggest rallying brands ever in a very short space of time, and again, it could be very likely that would be the brand to come back, or pulling at straws and hoping a lot, they do own Lancia, Now, Lancia don't really make cars anymore, but if they did remake a Delta, I would love it. And obviously, we've seen them in the World Rallycross, which unfortunately caught fire recently. But, you know, if they could take those cars, or the designs, or get GCK to make new ones and put them in the World Rally Championships, and Lancia can score more wins, that would be amazing. And Lancia, to this day, are the most successful constructors in World Rally Championship history. Most championships, at least. They won 10 World Rally Constructors Championships. Fantastic cars, fantastic liveries, always. They were just wonderful. I mean, I've banged on about Lancia on this channel a lot. I would love to see Lancia back. Stellantis also own Peugeot. Peugeot have their bits and pieces in rallying. Again, they've been around since the very beginning. Most of their success comes from the early 2000s. Marcus Gronholm obviously was a big thing for them. And Marco Martin did well in the Peugeot. But, I mean, Peugeot are big in the World Endurance Championship at the moment. That's the brand Stellantis have picked for there. You have the likes of Maserati in Formula E, who are also owned by Stellantis. So I would hope they put a different brand into World Rallying if they do come back. Biggest hope of all is Lancia. I would like to see Fiat or Abarth, maybe Opel and / Vauxhall. It'll probably be Citroen, I imagine. But we'll have to see if any of this comes true. I think a lot of it comes down to what the regulations will be in 2025, because I don't think they're too happy with the hybrid rules. I think it's either they want it to be cheaper or closer to what they would use on the road or something. But I think the FIA are working that out right now, and there's ongoing negotiations with these manufacturers. Hopefully, we finally get some new blood into the WRC. It'd be great to see 3 new teams rock up at least in 2025. Even if it's 2 cars each, 12 cars on the field. They'd all have WRC2 entries as well, because you look at Ford, Hyundai already have them. Skoda already has a WRC2 program. Citroen has I can't remember what car it is, the C2 or the C3. They're still running in WRC2. And who was the other one? Alpine. I'm sure it wouldn't take much to put an Alpine in WRC2. And apparently Toyota are planning to put together a WRC2 team as well, which will be very interesting. It might make WRC2 worth paying attention to, although they still need to have some kind of progression. You can't have drivers winning in WRC2 and not getting into the WRC Rally 1 cars. They need to do something about that. But we'll have to see how this works out. Imagine if they have 3 cars each. That would be great. 18 cars. It'd be like the World Endurance Championship, where it's got suddenly very competitive. I can't wait to see if it happens. I've got my fingers crossed. Come on, Lancia. Come back to the WRC. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.